welcome to Better News Daily once again. Today we are in the book of 2 Samuel, which is a collection of stories that are all about the life of King David. The book begins right after the death of King Saul, and it ends basically at the end of David's life. Now, if you want to read a really full character study in the Bible, read this book. David is perhaps the most intricately drawn person in the entire Bible. Not only do we get to read about both his successes and his failures, we also get to watch as David processes through these moments in his life emotionally. David, over the course of this book, is going to make some critically bad choices. But how he works through these decisions and their consequences is really fascinating. But we're not actually going to talk about David today. I actually want to talk about a guy who doesn't get nearly enough press in our storytelling of biblical heroes. He has 3 remarkable stories that take up only about a paragraph in your Bible. His name is Benaiah, and it's found in 2 Samuel chapter 23. So this chapter in your Bible is a list of David's mighty men and all of their exploits. So think of this like reading one of those medieval books that are beautifully illustrated that have all of the king's knights. And it lists in there all of the foes that these knights faced and the battles that they fought. That's kind of what this chapter is. It lists all of David's mighty troop of warriors, and it tells what each of them accomplished. And Benaiah is one of these guys. He was placed in charge of David's bodyguards. So he was kind of like the head of Secret Service. And this is what we read about him. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's 2 mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. And he struck down a huge Egyptian. Although the Egyptian had a spear in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. Okay, what? I want a whole book of the Bible about this guy. Let's recap. He took down the 2 mightiest men in Moab. No big deal. Then he later fights an Egyptian giant who, by the way, had a giant spear while Benaiah only had a little club. Sound a little David and Goliath-y to you? So what does he do? He takes his 5-iron and snatches the spear out of the big guy's hand, and then he kills the giant with his own spear. Whoa. And then his most memorable feat, he kills a lion in a pit on a snowy day. Wow. I mean, I complain if it's snowy outside and I forgot my mittens, but not Benaiah, the winter soldier. No, he's out killing Simba in a blizzard. I mean, how did this guy not become a classic biblical hero? So this simple sentence about the lion on a snowy day is what I want to focus on for today. It's a small story, but it's a really encouraging reminder. Notice, Benaiah is not just facing off against a lion, he's also stuck in a pit with him. And not only is he stuck in a pit with him, but it's snowing outside. And not only is Benaiah freezing, but he's also allergic to cats. Okay, I made that last one up. But look at how this story is stacked. Benaiah faces off against the worst of enemies, in the worst of places, in the worst of circumstances. And he still wins. This story is a powerful reminder about facing our fears and facing the enemy in our own lives. Because don't forget, you have an enemy. Do you remember this verse from 1 Peter? Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. There is an area or multiple areas in your life where the devil tries to have a stronghold. It could be baggage from your past. or worries about your future, or temptations in the present. You know what it is for you. And today I want to challenge you to face these battles head on. It's been said that there are 3 instincts in a moment of fear: fight, flight, or freeze. And I think that this is true in a spiritual sense as well. When faced with fears or temptations, you can fight, freeze, or flee. And I think the devil is happy when we do either of the last 2. If you freeze, he's got you. Like we read in 1 Peter, he's ready to devour. And if you flee, that might sound like a good thing at first, but that might actually not be a good thing. Let me share with you an illustration that I've heard before. It's about how lions hunt. We're staying on the lion theme today. So when trying to catch their prey, lionesses actually do, pardon my pun, the lion's share of the work. And one of the big reasons for this is because they don't have a giant mane, so they're able to blend in better. The males are intimidating, sure. I mean, they have the mane, they have a big roar, they're slightly larger. But the ladies are the ones to watch out for, actually. They're the real hunters. So here's what the lions do when they hunt. The females will lie motionless in the tall grass and wait behind their prey. But the males play an important role. The male lions will come up in front of the group of prey and let loose one of their powerful roars. It's said that lions' roars can be heard for up to 5 miles. Well, the gazelle or the antelope or whatever it was that was being targeted will hear that roar and, of course, bolt in the other direction. What they don't know is that though that was terrifying, the one that they were hearing was actually more bark than bite. The real threat was waiting behind them, right where they are running towards, the lionesses. See, their gut instinct was wrong. Though it's counterintuitive, the right choice would have been to override their emotions and run toward the roar. This, to me, is a helpful way to look at life. When challenges come, when the enemy stands in your way and tries to intimidate you, run to the roar. If you run the other direction, you might be running to exactly where the enemy waits for you, in fear and in complacency. But what if, in the midst of hardship and fear, we faced things head on, being confident that we serve a mighty, victorious God? My question for you today is this: where in your life do you need to go on the offensive? Where does the enemy stand in your way? Are there situations in your life where you need to take a stand? Instead of freezing or fleeing, where do you need to fight? Whether it's fears, insecurities, shame, or sin, the battle is the Lord's, and He wants to equip you to fight. Put on the armor of God and run to the roar. See, I think the biblical picture of spiritual warfare is that you can be like Benaiah. You can face off against the worst of enemies, in the worst of places, in the worst of circumstances, and if God is on your side, you can still win. I love this verse from the classic hymn, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God." And though this world with devils filled should threaten to undo us, we will not fear, for God hath willed His truth to triumph through us. The prince of darkness grim, we tremble not for him. His rage we can endure, for lo, his doom is sure. One little word shall fell him. I hope this is some better news you can take with you today. Tomorrow, we're going to be in a different book of the Bible. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you can get that in your feed. Tomorrow, we're in the book of Colossians in the New Testament. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been great to hear back from many of you who have been watching and enjoying this. So continue to spread the better news with those that you know, and we will see you tomorrow.